He saved a runaway young bride. Then she gave him her inheritance. The small town hall was buzzing with whispered speculation, but Mark stood steady, his eyes fixed on Emily. She looked fragile, her white dress wrinkled from the hurried escape. Yet there was a fierce determination in her gaze that no one could miss. The soft evening light caught the tear on her cheek as she clung to Mark's steady hand, her savior and unexpected protector. Mark, a 35-year-old firefighter known for his quiet strength and kindness, had never planned to be anyone's hero. Emily, just 22, came from one of the wealthiest families in the state, a family with secrets darker than anyone imagined. She had run away from an arranged marriage she feared would trap her forever. Their paths crossed in the most unlikely way, at a lonely roadside where Emily's desperate call for help met Mark's steady response. No one knew what would happen next. Would trust grow? Would her inheritance change everything? This story isn't just about escape or fortune. It's about courage, unexpected bonds, and the life-changing power of kindness. Stay with us as we unravel the night Mark saved Emily, and how everything turned upside down after that. The evening sky was a deep shade of navy, dotted with early stars as the small town's streets slowly quieted down. Inside a modest but warmly lit diner on Main Street, Mark sat alone at a corner booth, the faint hum of soft country music mingling with the clatter of dishes and low conversations. His firefighter uniform was folded neatly on the chair beside him, but his eyes held a faraway look, as if replaying moments from earlier that day. Across town, Emily sat curled up on a worn leather couch in a small, dimly lit apartment she'd taken refuge in. The torn edges of her once pristine wedding dress peeked out beneath a faded blanket wrapped tightly around her. Her hands trembled slightly, clutching a faded photograph of her late grandmother, a silent reminder of the life she longed to protect. The air was thick with tension, yet beneath it all, a fragile hope began to grow. Back at the diner, Mark's phone buzzed softly. It was a message from Emily, a single line that read, "Thank you for believing in me." A small, hopeful smile broke across his face as he tucked the phone away. Outside, a gentle breeze rustled the trees, carrying with it the promise of change. Neither Mark nor Emily could yet see where this night would lead, but something unspoken had sparked between them, a quiet bond forged in the midst of uncertainty. The world around them was still turning, but in this moment everything felt suspended between fear and possibility. And deep down, both of them knew that this was only the beginning. 6 months earlier, Mark had been rushing through a crowded city park on his day off, responding to a call about a missing teenager. The late afternoon sun filtered through the canopy of trees, casting long shadows on the walking paths. That's when he spotted her. Emily, sitting alone on a park bench, her eyes scanning the horizon with a mix of desperation and exhaustion. She wore a simple dress, but beneath the surface was a storm of pain and uncertainty. Emily had run away from an arranged marriage she never wanted, fleeing a life dictated by others. She carried no luggage, only a small backpack with a few essentials, and a heart full of questions. When Mark approached, he didn't ask why she was there or judge her decisions. Instead, he offered a steady presence, a safe space in the chaos. Their first conversation was quiet, but powerful. Emily's voice trembled as she shared fragments of her story, family pressures, fear of losing herself, and a future she refused to accept. Mark listened without interruption, his firefighter's instincts sensing more than just physical danger. He saw a young woman fighting to reclaim her life. Early days were hard. Emily grappled with trust, wary of anyone who offered help. Mark faced his own doubts, wondering if he could truly make a difference in someone's life so fragile. Friends questioned his involvement, hinting that he was taking on too much. But slowly, trust built between them, brick by brick, conversation by conversation. They navigated hurdles, finding Emily a place to stay, dealing with legal questions about her status, and facing the judgment of those who couldn't understand. Her choice. Every step forward was met with resistance, yet their connection grew stronger. Mark wasn't just a rescuer. He became a friend, a confidant, someone who saw Emily's strength beneath the scars. Through late-night talks and shared silences, their bond deepened. The runaway bride and the steadfast firefighter, two unlikely souls meeting at a crossroads, each carrying wounds that only the other seemed to understand. Their story was just beginning, marked by struggle but rooted in hope. As the weeks passed, tension began to weave its subtle threads between Mark and Emily, not out of malice, but born from fear and uncertainty. Emily, still haunted by the shadows of her past, wrestled with doubt every time Mark offered a helping hand. Was this genuine care, or was she just another chapter in someone else's story? The scars of her upbringing whispered warnings to keep distance, to protect herself from disappointment. Mark, on the other hand, found himself caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. He admired Emily's courage, yet he felt helpless against the invisible barriers she built around herself. His colleagues, though supportive, sometimes cast quiet looks of concern, questioning if he was stretching himself too thin or becoming emotionally entangled in a situation that wasn't his to fix. Neither wanted to admit it, but unspoken fears simmered beneath the surface. Emily worried about becoming a burden, about whether Mark's kindness would eventually fade. She feared that her past mistakes and family's expectations might one day drive a wedge between them. Meanwhile, Mark grappled with his own insecurities. Could he really protect Emily from a world that seemed determined to pull her back into the shadows? Their conversations became cautious dances around vulnerability. Moments of closeness were quickly shadowed by silence, as both wrestled internally with the risk of opening up too much. Emily questioned if she was strong enough to break free completely, while Mark wondered if his presence was enough to keep her safe. Yet, this tension wasn't about blame. It was about two souls trying to heal, each carrying their own doubts and fears. It was a fragile, honest struggle, the kind that tests bonds without breaking them. And in that uncertainty lay the quiet hope that, perhaps together they could find a way forward, beyond doubt, beyond fear, toward something real. As the first light of dawn crept through the window, bathing the room in a gentle glow, Mark held Emily close, his voice steady and sure. "You are enough," he whispered, the words simple but heavy with meaning. It was more than reassurance. It was a declaration, a vow that transcended all doubts and fears that had shadowed their journey. Emily looked up, eyes searching his, and saw there the unwavering acceptance she had longed for, a love that saw beyond scars and mistakes, beyond the past that tried to define her. Mark wasn't just standing beside her. He was standing with her, ready to face whatever came next without hesitation or hesitation. "I don't want you to fix yourself for me," he continued, voice tender but firm. "I want you to be who you are, every messy, beautiful piece. The past, the pain, it's all part of your story, and I love every chapter." His hand found hers, fingers intertwining naturally, grounding them both in this moment of truth. In that quiet room, filled with the soft hum of early morning, they found sanctuary in each other's acceptance. It was a love without conditions. No expectations, no judgments, only pure, unwavering presence. Emily's heart, once heavy with fear and doubt, began to open, blossoming in the warmth of Mark's promise. Months later, the city buzzed with anticipation as Mark and Emily stood before a crowd gathered in the community center, a place that had witnessed their journey from struggle to strength. The room was alive with familiar faces, friends, neighbors, even strangers whose lives had been touched by their story. The air hummed with quiet excitement, the kind that comes before something meaningful unfolds. Emily stepped up to the microphone, her voice clear but soft, carrying the weight of everything she had been through. 2 years ago, I ran away from a life I thought I had to live, one filled with silence, fear, and feeling invisible, she began. The room held its breath. But thanks to Mark, and to everyone who believed in second chances, I found my voice, my strength, and myself. Mark stood beside her, offering a steady presence, a reminder that she was no longer alone in her fight. Together, they shared not just their story, but a message of hope, resilience, and the power of compassion. They spoke about trust built on honesty, about healing that grows from acceptance, and about the courage it takes to rewrite your own destiny. As applause filled the room, Emily caught Mark's eye. There was pride, gratitude, and a quiet joy that came from overcoming the shadows of their past. The inheritance Emily once feared had transformed, not just money or security, but a future reclaimed and shared openly with the world. In that moment, they sealed their journey with public closure, not as an end, but as a powerful new beginning. Empowered and unshaken, they walked off the stage hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Together. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more unforgettable, emotional, and viral true stories. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us, where in the world are you watching from?